Leviathan dominated Vitality. We're going to go over a couple rounds and a couple key differences in why Vitality's playstyle wasn't able to match Leviathan's. We're going to go over the pistol rounds and then go over a couple key rounds and a couple key archetypal differences in why Lev was able to be so dominant against Vitality on a map that they beat Paper X on. And so, start off pistol round, the key difference in which a lot of people don't recognize, because obviously we tend to look at the screen and not at the map, but the key difference is these three right here. The Phoenix, the Neon, and the Viper are going to control mid the whole game, and even if they contest mid, they have protocols just in case anything happens. And so what Vitality do is that we're going to threaten mid, so they have no info on what we're going to do. Either we're going to go A or we're going to go B. And some teams tend to lean A, but what? In this instance, we see util coming out of A, we know it's an A hit. And I want to stop right here. Vitality, it seemed like in their game plan, okay, we're going to contest heaven. That's probably one of the key win conditions, because look at this. There's a bunch of crowding here. And what we're going to do is we're going to see if we can fight here so that we can potentially get a pick, and that prevents the retake. Because what are Leviathan going to do? They're going to retake. And wow. And so we fight, we don't want to get killed, and so we back off. And so what we do instead, we're going to go and fight spawn, or at least CT. And wow, we have 2 people pushing up, 3 people pushing up, and wow, doesn't this look familiar? Wow, doesn't this look familiar? We have 2 people contesting CT. Neon gets both. And in this instance, we go back here. Neon doesn't get the kills, but he gets the same info, and so we know what to do. And rather than trying to fight site and get kills, usually something that Paper X would do, we're gonna contain space, we're gonna hold space in the middle of site, and so that we see that we have open space, we can defuse, and instead of getting kills and fighting off the other enemies, we're just gonna stick it. From here, we have that heaven space, and so we don't have to worry about, if anybody is coming down. All we have to worry about is these crosses, and so Leviathan have a perfect protocol, crossfire setup. There's no hesitation from Leviathan. And so one thing I forgot to mention in this round is that even though they're taking ramps, is the Viper on Vitality. We get info that they're pushing out, but the Viper instantly, as soon as it's literally been like 5 seconds since the spike has been planted, from there they decide to wrap. And yes, if you're in a man advantage, you can do that, but we're in a situation where Lev play aggressive. They're always trying to take opportunities, and so in a position where, again, you're kind of playing a little bit of Paper X's style, why are you flanking in this situation where time is the most important thing? Because you're trying to stall and at least get some info on the defenders, because the defenders are now playing attack. They're playing aggressive. And it's just another situation of where Lev takes space. They have their crossfire set up. They get the info on the 2 people that are rushing spawn. And the last 2 people in these areas are pretty much useless to the plant. And now we're going to go into their bonus round. And so what do Vitality do? They threaten B. Could we take B main space? Leviathan don't know. And again, we have these 3 people here, and in the instance where Neon isn't holding mid, pretty much Neon's job is to hold vent space. If Neon is anywhere near this area, then that's a win condition for them, because what Blows is going to do is Blows is going to send out early util like an eye, so that nobody takes the timing, and so that he can keep control of the space all by himself. So if anybody rushes A, then he's going to throw a C's, he's going to throw, utils to stall so that they can retake and have enough space. And this round, Vitality decide, okay, we're gonna threaten mid, because we know they love mid. We see no info. From here we go back. We're gonna go back to B. We're gonna have a B hit. We have Chronicle trying to see if they push out of A, just holding space and spawn. And from here they hesitate. From here they hesitate. And the biggest difference between Leviathan and Vitality is that Lev doesn't hesitate. They have a certain amount of experience. They have a lot of experience with their maps, and it seems like they have a lot of experience with their protocols. And so whenever something happens, somebody makes a call, and then they instantly go for it. But in here, they say, "Oh, what do we do? Do we go back? Do we go back to A? Do we hit B? We have a minute left, and we already have hesitation." Where Leviathan, they know what they're gonna do as soon as they hear noise. And so again, the scoop up. We have the scoop up in mid. Just in case anything happens, we have 3 there. And one thing I want to highlight again is real quick is that something we don't realize as viewers is that the purpose that they don't ever change the setup where Omen, or in this case Neon, is gonna play A and this Fade is gonna play B, because what they do is that they have power positions. In this Fade spot, as we're gonna see later, Blows has this angle. It's pretty much his angle. It's his spot where he gets a lot of kills and he can also slow down the pack. And in this spot, obviously this is the default Omen play where they're gonna blind the choke point so that, you know, they're not flooding into sight or where he gets overwhelmed. And so instantly in this bonus round, even with weaker weapons, we're gonna throw a sight smoke so that we can hold space without giving it up and potentially giving up picks. And the key difference here, again, with Leviathan, is that we're gonna team fight. We're gonna have 3 here. In this instance where we have 2 people here, they're clearly outnumbered. We're gonna happily take this. And we have another crossfire, and pretty much from here the round is over. In this round, right after their bonus round that they just won, this is the anti-eco, we know that they're gonna have less weapons. Even if they do force, they're gonna have not enough money. And again, this is a power position. This is Blows where he often does get punished, and in this case where he does die, most likely they can't really spring upon the opportunity. Like, even if Durka gets this kill, like, they don't have enough people to rush A. And so from there, it keeps stagnated. But the thing that what Leviathan does is that even in a unmanned or undermanned situation, they're gonna fight as a team. They're gonna crowd together. So Blows gets his pick, and he's gonna hold this position. He's gonna stay alive because obviously staying alive is the most important thing to hold space. And a common thing, the most common thing you'll start to realize is that as we watch these rounds is that there's a heavy emphasis on heaven, especially when it comes to A. Vitality are going to hit A bunch of times. And so it's either these zones right here where they're going to hold heaven space, mid space, and then heaven space of A, so that most likely they're going to flood. They're going to flood site so that, you know, whenever there is a plant down or even an attempt to plant, they're going to be able to fight and have a lot more faster opportunities. And so again, we're in an anti-eco. We do have a gun for vitality, but the thing that Lev does that a lot of people do that is a lot different is that they take ramps, because they know a lot of people, there's going to be a lot less people in this A space right here, or in, I don't know, I forgot what this chunk, I would say A main. In this A main space, there is going to be a lot less people. Usually there is 3 to site, maybe 1 heaven, but usually 3 on site, and then there's maybe one near A main, but in this case there's 2. And what they're gonna do is they're gonna flood out of here. They're usually gonna smoke here, and so they can isolate any players that are hanging on to this choke point. And so they're usually coming from this angle so that they can take space and retake site. And what Spike does here is really good. He jiggles for info. They still have 3 here. It's an anti-eco, lesser guns, and pretty much just round over. So in this round, we're in a man disadvantage where it's a 4v5, and we starved the opponent of info, but they still have a lot of space on their side of the map. And so what Vitality are going to do, they're eventually going to hit a side exec on A. So they're hitting A, and then Blows has this power position, again, I mentioned, where he throws a C's. Neon helps A because they're so low on time that they're most likely aren't going to throw a fake. And so by this point, they confirm the position that they're trying to hit A. There isn't really anything confusing that Lev are facing during these rounds. And so that makes it look really easy for them, because Vitality are making it easy for them. They say, hey, we're taking contact. Once we make contact, we're making a lot of noise. Vitality are going to hit A, and again blows, throws his C's. And from here, it seems pretty sick, pretty familiar that it kind of seems like they're pissed around. They're just gonna hit A, and they have to hitting spawn or trying to rush spawn, but they're at a faster tempo. And so what happens is that Sato ults as the win condition and tries to get at least a pick or at least some info so that they can see how many are on site and what positions they can play off. So Sato ends up getting 2 here and pretty much seals the round, as Sayonara takes the timing without Durka. For some reason, like, yes, you don't want people peeking the same angle, or at least rushing the same angle, because they know that Neon is most likely going to rotate towards this side of the map. But Sayonara is by himself. In most situations, you would see Paper X, they rush it together. They say, all right, we're going to take the timing. Even though we can get killed by the Omen right here, we're just going to take the timing and take the fight. But Sayonara is by himself. And so yes, gets the kill, but gets traded. We had spiked down. And so in this round, it's the late round, it's 1 minute left, and we're dogging up A. And we still have, again, the trio here. They're holding mid, and we take a timing into A site. From here, we can't really capitalize it as a team, because we have our lurker here, and in the sense of where we could potentially take that space and call the team back and say, hey, let's go A. It seems like we're threatening a B split and trying to go into an A split, and in this situation, it does work out. The only issue is that the Viper is taking space and he overextends. And look, we have 3 people here. In a situation where we have Neon here, this is a favorable fight, because the Viper has that advantage. They know that they're going to be rotating towards A. And what Leviathan don't know is that the Viper is here. And so this Viper has the advantage of surprise. But again, we have 3. We bust Neon ult and we kill the Viper. And most likely the win condition of the round is to get Viper's pit down. And so we have Neon playing really aggressive. Again, Neon has her ult. We only have limited time, and so we're trying to get kills as fast as possible. In this situation, it's just a little bit unlucky from the sky. But we take space. The last 2 people are sealed out because they were concerned about ramps. And from here, pretty much the round is over. So finally, we're gonna go to a round that Vitality actually win. So in this instance, we're again threatening mid. We get Phoenix Walls up, and so we're gonna go rotate, walk towards A. We give them no info on where we're going. In this instance, what Leviathan does different is that we're gonna have the Fade go and anchor A. Usually Fade attempts to hold Heaven, or most likely their job is to control Heaven while they have the Neon either in vent or controlling the ramp space. So in this instance, with time down and they haven't heard anything on B, again we're gonna go A. And so this time what Vitality do different is, again, we're walking, we have no info, they have no idea how many people are ramps, and we have 3 people finally fighting ramps. The only issue, I think that the only issue that teams struggle with is attempting to hold Heaven. In this instance, you would have, your Viper player maybe lurk so that they can get a backstab and control Heaven, or at least ramps, especially when they are usually planning towards Heaven. But what the Heaven players have to do is that we have to fight site, because we haven't seen Fade. Most likely Fade is anchoring on A. So King has control of Heaven pretty much because nobody's threatening it. And from here, we get a couple trades. And pretty much run the round through gunfights. at least what a lot of EMEA teams do is they threaten time so that a lot of other opponents attempt to make mistakes. And so in this instance, they actually do win the round because they punish Leviathan trying to rush and prevent the spike from coming down, because there's 17 seconds. It's so easy to be like, let's get spiked down and we win the round. Especially when we're in a 3v3, we can afford to take some risks as long as we get the trade. But Sato gets caught out in the open, so does Neon as the spike goes down, and pretty much from here, the round is over. So the key conditions of this round was to limit noise and to limit information as the time is running down. And what they do most opportunity, or the best opportunity for them to eventually win that round, was that pick in ramps, and which allows them to get that heaven space, because if they're contesting heaven, most likely 3 people are usually going to be here. And so in this round, again, part of our game plan is that we're going to have Fade throw util so that nobody's taking a timing on A. We have three mid, just in case they hit A, but they end up hitting B. And I think the flipping point of this round was getting the pick on Neon, because Neon is holding the line, is also throwing the blind, which is a lot less optimal as an Omen, just because you have to be a lot more mobile, a lot more versatile. And having an op, yes, can get you a kill, but you're often in a vulnerable spot to get traded. In this round, throw a flash and Neon dies, the Omen. But from here, they attempt to flood out, and what Vitality do, probably player instincts, is to attempt to take space, and they take drop. And what Leviathan failed to do is they failed to get info on that drop space, or at least attempt to clear it, and they rush. Most likely because, again, Leviathan are just always looking for a fight, and so they don't mind giving them a round just so that they can give up a fight. And in this situation, they just take Vitality take the advantage and the opportunity to win the round. Man, honestly, at this point in the round, I thought this was a comp diff, because the way that the Fade gets value on the C's, especially as they group up, like, it gets so many kills, especially with the Phoenix Molly. They combo that, they get a kill. And in this position, yeah, you could say it's probably winnable. I would say it's probably winnable considering the caliber and the quality of the players. But in this round, Leviathan, they freeze. They got spiked down. We could take our time. Maybe they peek into us, but let's get our util back, and from there we can rush onto site. From here, I think the key difference is that they just are simply isolated. They're not fighting as a team. Like, yeah, you're less likely to know where they're coming from. You're less likely to get info from being stuck in this area of the map. But I think you're better off, especially since Leviathan like the crowd, to able to get some kills, take some risks, and potentially win the round. And so again, around that Vitality win is around where Lev decided to do something different. Maybe just because they want to switch it up, or just because they want to, again, take a fight. They take a fight, the 2 players that peek out get punished. Blows is still here, but he takes a good amount of damage, but again, isn't playing from that heaven position. He's holding the A main position, which could get punished. From there, they get the info that Fade is no longer heaven, and Fade has already used the C's. So Fade dies. Leviathan want to take a fight. They jump out like Paper X, get a kill, get a second kill, but with trades and holding their ground and a couple spams, they win the round. Okay, and now Leviathan's pistol round. Again, we're gonna talk about why I think after seeing this round, King is so important to the team, obviously because he knows that he's confident in these 1v1 duels. He does get traded, but there's so many times where they're going to rush the Viper because they know the Viper is isolated, but the Viper continues to get the kills. And so I'm thinking, like, damn, King must do a lot of skirmishes and must be winning a lot of skirmishes to be taking a lot of these one-on-one duels. Because, like, he's just either getting 1, 2, and sometimes even living after that. But let's backtrack. Let's backtrack a little bit. So again, we get the trade on the Viper. We have space A spawn, but what Leviathan do different from Vitality is that we roam in a pack. We have 4 people here. At what point during the rounds that I previously showed did they ever roam with 4 people in a pack? And in this instance, like, since you have so many people, you have the issue of potentially lining up or watching the same angle. And this is where, like, the discipline and the communication is so important, because if Chronicle gets here, it's pretty much or if Chronicle dies here, it's pretty much a clean sweep. But he doesn't, he gets 2, potentially gets a 3rd, but we're still in a favorable advantage. We do still, Neon is still low, but we're in a 2v2, just because we had so many people there. If we had 2 people there, we lose that space.
Profex just figured this out at the right time. Don't think he'll catch through heaven, but a chance here certainly on the spawn cross.
And so in this pistol round, Neon tries to take the timing and smoke, but Profex is in the right place, right time. We still have time. We tab so we get some info. We know that the Omen is there. Most likely they're going to blind us, so we get off a default spot. We plan for open. We're just taking the risk. We reload. We see that the Omen's there. We get the kill, and we get the sky. And one thing I saw a lot with Leviathan is that even in their Lotus map, if you watched it, or even some of these maps, a lot of what Leviathan do is that they know that they're gifted aimers, and so they can take an angle, they can take, you know, regular fights, but what they do is that they know that the people behind them are even really good aimers as well. And so there's sometimes where Spike is jumping into fights, moving off the crosshair for the second person to get the kill. And so in this situation where they're both low, you're having one person, what you should normally do, or what a lot of aggressive teams and what a lot of successful teams, at least in this tournament, have done, is that they're jumping, one person trying to jump as far away from the angle so that the second person can get the kill. In this instance, they take regular fights, and which allows a 1v2 clutch. Okay, and so this is their bonus round, and Sayonara takes a risk, gets 1. From here, this is simply just Vitality's individual skill. They get their trades, they get their 1s, and from here, they're in an advantage. And I feel like this is a hard game plan to follow, just because, like, you're so reliant on the 1s rather than team play. Yes, Vitality have good instances of team play, but they had to have overall pretty much close to perfect team play when it came to Leviathan, because that's what a lot of people struggle with Paper Rex, and Vitality did with Paper Rex, is that they always team fight. And so what you have to do to counter it is to team fight it yourself. And so again, in this instance where Vitality had a bunch of space and we're taking risks, they eventually do win the round just off of their individual skill and being in a man advantage. And there's so many times you'll watch Lev Split where they get these picks, where they get the picks on the Omen, or the Omen is jiggling out and they get the picks just spamming through smoke. And again, King gets a 1v1, a clean 1v1, where he most likely knows it's a 50-50. Either they peek or they don't. Either they're sending 1 or they're sending 2. And he gets a pick, and it's so many times where, again, Lev do a 4-1, where they have 4 on B and 1 on A, and they don't go punish. And again, the discipline of Lev, of being the disciplined team and taking the pause. They take the pause during the round. They say, alright, let's put the map on freeze. We could be rotating A. Again, we got the pick A. Usually in that instance where they're pushing out of A, that's the weaker site, because they know they're going B. And so we freeze.
I mean, also could just be an early indication of a save.
They could still be B, and so we throw some util to clear. We even throw in an ult, throw in our blinds, usual exit, and from here we have time and space.
Maybe the right call, yes. That temptation beckoning.
We have time and space in a 3v5. Pretty much this kill seals the round, as they're no longer in a favorable position and they end up saving. And so the final round, the round where Lev win it all, is that they rush A. Turka gets a pick, takes the timing, but he dashes out into the open, blows, gets 2. Because Sayonara also peeked off a ramp at the same time. pretty much from here we stall. We don't get too eager. We don't pick off of the Omen blind. We stall off of there. We still have Omen. Oh, Omen's in spawn. We have that. We have that info. We can play off of that. Vitality do push out. Chronicle gets a pick on blows. And from here, they're pretty much cooked with the Neon ult, and they win the series 2-0, 13-4 on both maps. A key emphasis of this is that Lev are always team fighting, they're always proactive, and they have less hesitancy whenever something happens. I feel like they have so much experience as a core that they either have a call in the moment and they stick to it, or they already know, all right, we dealt with this, we scrimmed a bunch of people in this scenario, and we know how to handle it. And I feel like not only that, but the player quality, pretty much anyone in any position in a 1v2, whether it be Sato, whether it be Blows, whether it be Neon, whether it be King, and even Spike, they're always capable of clutching. And so they're pretty much always at a win condition, or they're always capable of winning a round. Because even in a situation where, you know, they're scrapping by on lesser guns, a win is a win. And as long as you get to 13, in this case it was a 13-4, then you move on to the next round, and then where they play EDG. And so real quick, I just want to give my predictions on that. We have EDG and Lev in the final matchup, and I'll just pull it up real quick. So this is the lower finals. Personally, I think Lev could dominate in this, but since it's a best of 5 and EDG have a lot of best of 5 experience, they could edge it out. I personally think it depends on how a lot of the pistols go and a lot of how the momentum shifts. Because if EDG just straight dominate, it's hard to see Leviathan be able to bounce back. I feel like if they dominate a map, it's possible for Lev to bounce back on a map. But if they go up 2-0, if the EDG go up 2-0, then it's hard to see Leviathan being able to come back. And on the flip side, I think with Leviathan, even if they are up 2-0, they just are really skilled. They have a lot of experience within the core, but they don't have a lot of international and big stage best of 5 experience. So even in a 2-0, I don't feel comfortable, or I don't feel like a little bit less stress going into that third map, just because I know EDG has the experience and can flip it around. Personally, my prediction is Lev does win in pretty close to really great fashion, so that it sets up a really big stage for the grand finals for Lev and Paper X. And hopefully, if that prediction is right, even if it is EDG or Leviathan, it's going to be a really good grand finals. And for sure, even if EDG do eventually win, because I feel like Lev is the favorite and EDG is kind of the upset just because of Leviathan's momentum. But if EDG win, then that's pretty much a guarantee of a grand finals, a really good grand finals. And so, yeah, that's me signing off. Excited for these upcoming games.